UT Martin head coach Jason Simpson, the team 27-20 overtime victory at Eastern Illinois this past weekend. They're home this weekend. Tennessee State comes to town. So, Coach, just some thoughts about your team, and we'll go to some questions.
Sure. Obviously, very proud of our team, proud of our coaches to find a way to get a win. On the road. The last two times we've been there, games have been in overtime. We were fortunate enough to come up with a win. Coach. They played hard, and both teams are looking at it like, man, we should have won the game, more handily. They have a chance to make a kick. We're looking at it like, can't believe we let them drive down with 46 seconds left. So both teams had a chance to separate themselves and didn't do it, and we were fortunate enough to find a way.
Coach, we'll go to some questions. We got Mike Organ from the Tennessee in that first. Go ahead, Mike.
Coach, I'm going to step off topic just a bit before I ask about Tennessee State and just ask, how do you juggle keeping up with Ty and coaching games on Saturdays, or do you not mess with it? Are you able to wait until your game is over?
No, I'm still a dad first and foremost. So, I was telling somebody a story the other day. We were playing SEMO at home, and that was Bama's playing Georgia at the same time. And no, normally I have Graham. In the years past, he would be here with me, kind of, keeping me up to date, on the sideline. But he wasn't here. I'm the only one here. My daughter, my wife, and Graham, for the most part, go to the Bama games. But anyway, we've got those pods at the end of our stadium down there, and the different fans here in the community rent out, and they got televisions, so it's a big tailgate type atmosphere. Well, when we would get on that north end of the field, you're close to those pods, and they've got televisions on the inside of them. And so there'd be, and in the OVC, we've got like 27 media timeouts throughout the game. Okay. So there's always clock stoppage. And and so when I get on that far end down there, my friends are in those pods, so I could see the television down there when I would look down there. And there were several times versus Georgia game, I would see Ty's, I don't have great eyesight, but it was a large screen TV, so I could see Ty. I couldn't tell exactly what was going on. So when the good things were going, they'd look at me and give me thumbs up, like something good had happened. So no, I try to keep up with it as good as as good as I can, and then go back later on and watch it. But no, we're very blessed that I get to do something that I'm passionate about and love, and he's going to do the same thing.
Do you guys talk every Saturday night?
Oh yeah, no, we talk every day. I did get to go to the South Carolina game,
Yeah.
during our open week, so that was cool. I went to the Florida State game, because that was on a Saturday. But no, we he and I got a pretty good, a great relationship, and I try to be a dad and not quiz him of why'd you throw it there or what, but sometimes I can't help it; it just comes out. A lot of times lately I've been saying, well, that was a great play. So, but no, we do talk about the good plays, the bad plays, and we've done that since he was a little kid.
Conversely, does he ever come back at you and say, why didn't you go for it there? Or why didn't you go for it
Oh
there?
yeah. No, I'll tell you a funny story. So I talked to him Saturday on the way home because he had an open week, and we ran a little trick play against Eastern Illinois, and we only got like 5 yards of it, but they had run the same play against South Carolina, the 2-point play. Okay,
Yeah.
remember the little 2-point play was a handoff to him, and then he throws it to the tight end, right? And he was like, I can't believe 1 week after we run the play, you run the same play, because remember, Eastern Illinois plays Alabama here in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
his teammates will be watching that tape. Okay. So I had to remind him, I said, no, you're wrong. Go back and look at UT Martin game versus SEMO last year. We ran that play before you guys did against SEMO last year. So we were kind of going back and forth that no, I didn't copy you guys. That just happened to be in the game plan this week.
That's funny. How unique is it also that Ty is in the Heisman Trophy race with Marcel Reed, who you have a close relationship with through Rod?
Well, first of all, that's a lot of football left, and Marcel knows that, Ty knows that, I know that, Rod knows that. But it is what a great compliment. Two kids here from the state of Tennessee, two, and their dads both coached, in the OVC. Graham actually plays for the Tennessee Select right in the summer, which Rod coaches, or in the spring, the 7-on-7. So I actually talked to Rod the other day. That is pretty neat. What are the chances of that? Two kids from Tennessee, and both of them play at two different schools in the SEC.
Okay, and then on to Tennessee State. What do you? They've struggled on offense this year, but they've started to come up with some explosive playmakers, scoring on the first play from last 70 yards last week. Have you seen some improvement on this team in Reggie Barlow's first year?
I haven't really watched it like that. What I mean by that is you get to this time of year, heck, we lost our first four.
Right.
Okay. So, we've been, swimming upstream ever since then. But now since we get into OVC play, I see all of us very comparable. There's not a whole lot of difference. I haven't watched Tech. That we play them last game of the year. Obviously, they're having a great season, but because of the portal and because you're not able to retain players and you got new players and stuff, we're all very similar. So I hadn't really looked at it like that. I've been studying their defense. I have, looked at a little bit of it because we do a lot of crossover in practice, trying to simulate both offenses and defenses. So I just know the defense is, it's not the question you asked me, but, I know they're, second, third, most, all categories throughout the season. That's going to be a challenge for us. And, we've been kind of streaky on defense. There's times we play really good football, and then there's times we give up a lot of big plays. So like you said, that'll be our challenge this week, is to avoid those big plays like they got a few of them against Lindenwood.
All right. Thanks, Jason. I'll see you on Saturday.
Hey, thank you. Good talk to you.
Brandon, do you have a question for Coach Simpson? Brandon covers TSU as well.
Man, that is a tough act to follow. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, good to see you.
You too. Brandon King with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab and SneakerShopTalk.com. Wanted to ask, you talked about TSU's defense, and they've shown, particularly over the past few weeks, the propensity to be a pretty good tackling ball club. When you looking at them from that standpoint, what are some ways that you look to try to attack them defensively and try to make those guys uncomfortable?
Well, I can't just give you my game plan, but I'll tell you some things that I see. One, they got like 19 sacks. Okay, so you better try to protect your quarterback. Problem is they play a lot of great man coverage, and sometimes you got to hold it to let the receivers try to get open. So that's a problem. They got a lot of tackles for loss, so that's a problem. The box gets loaded. A lot of times, which makes it difficult to run the ball. So, you just try to find different ways to what you do well, and then you try to a way to survive first and foremost, and then if you can create some short fields for yourself. We've done a good job lately, and it's not on purpose. Okay, I saw we were keeping the ball 34 minutes a game. When I was laughing, I was talking to our staff, and that's not on purpose. All right. We're just not creating any explosive plays. Okay. So, we're not getting a lot of big plays. We had 22 completions the other day for only 170 yards. Okay. And so, we got to try to create some more explosive plays, because it's just hard to score points. We had 77 snaps the other week, and, only had to go to overtime to score 27 points. So, it's hard. That puts a lot of strain, on your defense would like for you to score early, right? So they can control, and where other teams got to play catch up. We haven't been doing that for our defense. We've been, not scoring as many points as we needed to.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate the insight. Good luck this weekend. Good chance to hear some of your backstory and whatnot. Definitely.
Thank you, man.
Good to listen to.
Appreciate you.
Coach, I'm going to tie all the questions in. Ty's completing 67.8% of his passes, but that's not as many as your quarterback, Jace Bauer, is completing. Talk about that. And Coach Wilkerson talked about, we asked him about what he saw in your game on Saturday. What has Jace been doing to be so efficient offensively?
Well, first of all, our coaches do a good job. Our quarterback Danny and Nick, our receiver coach, doing a good job of coaching him up throughout the week and giving him some, some quality throws to make. And then Jason's been making some good third down throws, lately. He's a competitor. He works really hard. He, he's very intentional in his preparation. Just real proud of him. He competes for us every week. I think he'll be the first one to tell you there's probably he left some throws out there last week that that he scrambled on that. Don't get me wrong, we appreciate that. That kept us on the field and stuff. But there's a couple throws that if he'll get out, he doesn't have to scramble and take another hit. He can put the work on some other guys, and then that makes us more balanced instead of having 48 runs and 25 passes. But no, he gives us a chance each week in conference play. When you complete that high percentage, I think we had 27 first downs last week. So it's keeping us on the field and keeping our defense over there drinking water.
And then, in the Western Illinois game, he runs for 2 touchdowns in the final 9 minutes. And then this week he runs for a touchdown with 46 seconds left and throws the winning touchdown in overtime. I mean, big time plays for him when it counts.
No, absolutely. In the conference right now, he's got us to a 4-1 record. And it's allowed us to play 11 on 11 football, including the quarterback in the run game. Like you said, he had 14 carries this past week. And now late in the season like this, we're not afraid to run him. I mean, we're going to do what we got to do to be competitive and stuff. So no, we appreciate Jace. That's probably the best thing. Kyle, you and I have been together for a long time. I don't know. We had 10 guys catch. The strength of this football team is their attitude. I mean, I can go out there and look for problems, but I got to go look for them. I give this group credit. They work hard. They're coachable. It doesn't all. We don't always play. I think we made Sports Center like worst plays the other day. We had some poor tackling on a touchdown. Kid from Eastern Illinois made a great play. But they keep fighting, they block extra points, they block field goals, and Jace is a big part of that. He's kind of, just doesn't worry about what his stats are. He's just trying to help the team win. Like I said, we had 10 guys catch a ball in the game the other day. All right. We don't have a whole lot of stars on this team. And that's the strength of this team is, there's not a lot of egos.
Well, I know we've kept you a little longer. One more. At the end of the game, it's 4th down. Yeah, you had to go for it. And Keyshawn Johnson made a heck of a play as he's done all year. But he's one that he doesn't have to have a lot of stats, 4 tackles, 2.5 TFLs, but he played a pretty good game for you.
And no, he does. I'm glad you asked about Keyshawn. No, he's our best pass rusher. Toby Toby Camp does a lot of good things for us up front too. But Keyshawn's made a lot of plays for us. He's not that big, he's not that long, but he's a powerful, has a knack to be able to bend and rush the passer. It was a great call by our defense coordinator on the 4th and 1. That would be, that's the blitz that you would want versus that play. We cross the tight end's face and it's hard for him to collect it. So, no, Keyshawn's been big for us. We need him to continue to do that.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you again this time next week.
Thank you, man. Just the national championship in basketball is not till March, right? So we're football streamlined till then.
Until
right?
then, yes, sir.